Good morning. It is Friday, June 24th, 2016, 6:23 a.m. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just woke up. This is 5 more minutes. I had to burp a little bit. So I was originally thinking today that I would be talking about some more of the VR stuff that I did last night. But what I woke up to is that apparently the Brexit, I hate that word, Brexit vote passed. So I guess the UK has voted, but I think it was something like 52 to 48. Voted to leave the European Union, which, I mean, obviously, as I mentioned the last time, I don't necessarily have like a vested interest in. I don't live in the European Union or in the UK. Um, but just as someone who is in favor of people with differences trying to come together and sort stuff out, I'm not happy about this outcome. And while I would never say that supporting leave means that, I mean, like, that doesn't make someone racist. There are lots of non racist people, I'm sure, who still wanted the UK to leave the EU. That said, it's pretty unequivocal that that's the side that the racist people are on. So I would think that that should be a red flag. But yeah, so that's disappointing. Um, Stock markets have plunged, although I think it's probably important not to read too much into that. Stock markets typically plunge anytime there's uncertainty of any kind. It's not necessarily an indictment or a referendum. Well, shoot. It's not because of the choice, like like leaving is a bad idea, as much as leaving produces uncertainty. If the voice had been to stay, that means status quo, right? So things continue as they have been. But now, with leaving, it's like, who knows what could happen? And so that uncertainty is what causes the stocks to plunge, although that certainly has been significant. Probably a temporary effect, at least until we see how the actual departure shakes out and how that actually all works. So, I feel like the only people that I kind of regularly communicate with at all, um, that live in the UK were against leaving. So I'm sorry for you guys. I hope that this is not some sort of an indicator that the Trump forces here in the U.S. Um, I hope that we're not going to be looking at a similar outcome in November, because similar to the whole leave or remain campaigns, like with Trump, I don't think that supporting Trump necessarily means that you're racist, but there's no question that that's the side that the racists are on. So, once again, it raises the question of whether or not, like, if you are not a racist person, maybe you need to think about who you're forming allies with. I don't know. It's an oversimplification, but it comes down to, for me, no political party is ever going to have a platform that you agree with 100%. So, what you have to do really is choose the party that, you agree with on the things that are the most important to you, right? Um, for me, it tends to be social issues is what kind of drive me more towards the left, because economics are complicated. I'm not an expert in them, and I know enough as a layperson to know that frequently the experts disagree with one another. So, what's the right answer for economics? I mean, some answers make more sense to me on an intuitive level, but that doesn't mean anything. I know that the reality is complex enough that my intuitive level, my intuition has no bearing on, what the right answer might turn out to be. And unfortunately, it's the nature of it is sufficiently complex that past precedent doesn't even necessarily tell you the answer, because, the small differences of it being now as opposed to then, whenever then might have been, means that it might not go the same way. So, and you never can rule out that some, strange events are going to happen. So, from an economic perspective, I'm more conflicted in terms of who is more correct. But from a social standpoint, I'm pretty much more on the left than the right, and so that tends to be where I lean. And so the leaving or remaining in the UK is kind of the same thing. I mean, a lot of people are forecasting economic ruin. I don't know if that's going to be borne out or not. But for sure, this seems to be a campaign that involves a lot of anti-immigrant feelings, which that I am against. So, or I am against anti-immigrant feelings. So that's, I guess, why I am disappointed with the outcome this morning. We'll see how it all works out. All right, so I will leave it there for today. Maybe talk a little bit more about VR tomorrow, and I will talk to you tomorrow for 5 more minutes.